It was a busy week for the party of opposition this week, despite the deathly silence coming from the government's benches. The most action we saw from government were a few U-turns. For example, just before the recess, ministers announced that they were U-turning over plans to electrify the Midland Main Line. Then, in a full donut, Transport Secretary Chris Grayling told Radio Derby that they hadn't abandoned the plans after all.
We have not abandoned electrification. We've simply identified a small number of projects where frankly it does not make financial sense for us.
Yeah, you're confused. I'm confused. But this government's completely lost. On Wednesday, after pressure from Labour, the government finally backed down on charging 55p a minute for calls to the Universal Credit Helpline. On the same day, a Labour motion calling for a pause in the disastrous rollout of Universal Credit was carried with a majority of 299 after Theresa May ordered her Tory MPs to abstain. One Tory MP from Scotland skipped the vote to be an assistant referee at a football match in Spain. Douglas Ross MP seems to think being a linesman in Barcelona is more important than the welfare of his constituents.
Kitman there trying to stop Drogba getting himself into further trouble.
Although the vote isn't binding on the government, the Speaker had some pretty strong words afterwards.
Yes, point of order, Mr. Peter Bone.
Thank you. Just a slight correction. Of course, the government did not vote against this, so they couldn't have possibly lost it.
What I said was correct. This was the expressed will of the House. If people choose not to take part in a division, they can't suddenly say, oh, well, we didn't lose. Sorry.
There can be little doubt that had the Tories showed up to the vote, they would have lost. That's why Labour's Debbie Abrahams said that the Conservatives might be in office, but they're certainly not in power. Tuesday evening saw a TUC rally in Parliament Square, calling for an end to the 7-year-long public sector pay cap. And I went along to speak to some of the workers who were participating.
When I was rock bottom, it's along with the reductions in the funding to fire service overall, what is effectively pay cuts for firefighters is just having a terrible effect on morale.
I think people are less willing now to put in the extra hours and to keep on working for less money. Yeah. So there's more consideration for them about, well, will they have to get other work to supplement their pay? So they're not going to have the time to devote to the teaching that they used to.
Theresa May needs to stand up and recognise what public are saying and deliver on this by scrapping this pay cut.
Their morale is very low. Significant numbers of them are saying that they intend to leave the civil service as soon as they can. They're fed up with being undervalued and underpaid.
We're sick of having a pay freeze. We're going backwards with our pay. And she can't expect teachers to carry on teaching if things don't change.
Thanks very much for your time, appreciate it. Best of luck.
And finally on Brexit. The Prime Minister seems incapable of giving assurances to EU citizens living here and British citizens living abroad. Negotiations have seen party divisions and the careers of individual Tory MPs coming ahead of the national interest. Jeremy Corbyn met the EU's chief negotiator and several European heads of state on Thursday, showing that Europe recognises that Labour is a government in waiting. So that's it for another week. Don't forget to like the page and please share the video. Thanks.